Meanwhile, the timing of this was rather suspicious, it seems to me. I've noted that Donald Trump has made it virtually impossible for me to sleep because it seems now once a week, maybe twice a week, I'm about to go to bed. It's 10:30 at night. And, for me to go to bed, it means like I've got to either, take some Ambien or melatonin or mix it with some bourbon. I mean, all sorts of different tricks. But the point being, those are tricks. Well, whatever. Warm milk mixed with bourbon and melatonin.
Can I have milk, Mom?
So, but this is one of those nights where you get one story drops around, I don't know, 7 p.m. of the Times, and then the Post drops their story at 10, and then 10:30, and then Wall Street Journal, and then the Times again, and then I'm up until 3 or 4 in the morning, chasing down. I don't know. At that point, I'm online too long, and I'm not the only one who's noticed this. The timing. Here's Fox and Friends.
It does sound as if he did have one meeting as a U.S. senator with the Russian ambassador in his office. But the headline is the Democrats
Pause
want
it.
blood.
I should just say, it doesn't sound that way. This was from this morning. That was actually confirmed by his spokesperson. It doesn't sound like it. It's not like you have to piece this together. It was literally confirmed by the people working for him.
Sure sounds like I met with him, doesn't it?
Sort of.
Sort of, in a matter of speaking.
Well, that's all right. Fudge on that one. Go ahead. Make your point, Steve Ducey.
Democrats want blood, and they say, look, he can't investigate the Russia stuff because he's got a tie to the Russians.
All right, so the New York Times has a story today that said the Obama administration had scrambled
Pause
to
it.
keep
Let me
this
just say that whole thing about the Democrats wanting blood. You know who else wants blood? It was that Shylock. All right.
said the Obama administration had scrambled to keep this so-called intelligence together in order and keep it from the Trump administration in order to, I guess, a lot of people feel make sure that they can.
Now, first off, what's this guy's name? Kilmeade.
He is the candidate for dumbest person on planet Earth.
Well, but no, I'll tell you what's clever about this is that he knows, Kilmeade knows that the percentage of his audience that will read past a headline, even if it's on foxnews.com, is almost immeasurable. The percentage of people who will read past a headline on this story that he's talking about in the New York Times, that watch this, that don't hate watch it like we do, I think is probably, it may be in negative territory. And the fact is, there's not a single word in that New York Times piece that suggests this was an attempt to hide the intelligence information from the Trump administration. What happened in that story, as outlined, was that the Obama administration was afraid that this intelligence would be quashed by incoming Trump officials. Let's say, like, I don't know, the head of the Department of Justice.
Lord,
It's fascinating what they did here. They made a concerted effort to have as many opportunities for this information, some of it declassified, some at different levels of classification, be spread around the government in as many ways as possible. So anytime people met with intelligence officials within the administration.
You're talking about the Obama administration did this.
Yes. In the days leading up to the inauguration, anytime anybody was meeting with intelligence officials, they would ask them broad questions about this so that this could be recorded within the context of that. They did this at the State Department. They did this across, they did it with other agencies so that this information could reside in as many places throughout the government as one could legally with information at these various levels of classification. There's not one word in that story that suggests they were trying to hide this intel from the Trump administration, but I'm nitpicking.
scramble to keep this so-called intelligence together in order and keep it from the Trump administration in order to, I guess, a lot of people feel, make sure that they can move forward with an investigation, maybe without the Trump administration knowing. Even the State Department, led by John Kerry, also took part in intelligence sharing. They claim the Dutch and British also have information about meetings between Trump officials, and
So
they claim to, Trump officials and Russian officials.
Is the article suggesting then, in your opinion, that they're releasing this information after Donald Trump had a great speech and the country's
Not the
talking
New York
about that?
Times or Washington Post story, I'll tell you that.
I mean,
But the timing is
Timing's interesting.
Yes. Well, they could have released this, I guess, when they released this information about the Flynn thing, or a week from now when they release the information about whoever else it's going to be.
Right. Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's always interesting because it is actually kind of interesting that every top level member of this administration.
You know, the other thing is
But listen,
that actually
I
is
think
kind of innately
I think
interesting.
it could be very possible that this was released after that speech, but it also seems to me that Tuesday, Wednesday seems to be the days that they release these things.
yeah,
Like they've
right.
got a
No.
schedule. I mean, there's
Clearly.
no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that this is a highly orchestrated campaign. I mean, there's no doubt about it. These guys are professionals. And again, you know, I return to what I had a conversation, and I think it's going to be on our YouTube channel because sometimes we put some Ring of Fire content up there with Mike Papantonio about this. We got into a little bit of a I don't want to say an argument, but we had different positions on this. There is, yes, I think it is problematic to have intelligence agencies basically at war with an administration. At the same time, you can look at it as a perspective of this also could very well be, and we may not know until the end, whistleblowing to basically prevent Jeff Sessions from quashing this investigation at the FBI. And we may not know until the end of this, but it is. So people should be cautious on both sides of this.
I think I just two quick points. I mean, one that's funny to me is like everything about this, if you described it generically, if you're like, hey, there's a president who openly attacks the CIA and the intelligence community, and then on the other hand, there's an orchestrated effort by members of the intelligence community to undermine the results of an election. If you gave that to me on paper, I would be like, well, that's terrifying, and you'd have to support the president. And then, of course, in actuality, it's like exactly the opposite how it's playing out. But the second point is, I feel like it doesn't in any way surprise me that no one at Fox cares about this. Like it doesn't surprise me at all, and it shouldn't surprise anybody. But like, it's another great example, though, of like, even liberals still getting tripped up and trying to do like the shame and hypocrisy game with these people. You just have to completely let it go. It's ludicrous. They don't care. If Russia helps them win, then it's fine.
I mean, to be fair, there's also some of that on the the left and the Democrats.
Oh, of course.
Too.
Well,
see,
breaking
there it
news
is.
from that Fox and Friends clip is that the blonde lady can talk.
Oh. Is that the first time we've ever heard her talk?
Yes, and it's at least the fifth clip.
Wow. There you go. Good job, Matt.
I like when Killed Me. It's just
Matt
like,
pulled the right clip then.
I'm just like spitballing here, but like there's so-called intelligence.
Right,
And then
so-called-
there's just like, there's like a meeting.
And supposedly
and they want blood because
Britain and Denmark and
then you got France coming in there, and Trump's just like,
And I
wait
lo- I
a
love
second,
how
I want to
Ducey-
get jobs. What do you think?
I love how Ducey sort of delivers that like, I guess they're afraid of Jeff Sessions running the investigation because he, has
And
these
I
contacts.
guess they're a little bit concerned about Mr. Gambino heading the investigation of the Gambino family. It's just kind of weird, right?
Ducey. Oh my
I mean,
God.
all of a sudden, like, they don't, apparently the Democrats don't want the target of the investigation overseeing the investigation. I mean, get along to these liberals. It's
But he's a
incredible.
little bit goofier when he does it. Just
He
like
kind of reminds me,
me.
in a weird way, he reminds me of Dennis Miller in this very indirect way.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right Right over here. Some over. Subscribe.